Hi, I'm Brandy, the host of New to This, walking you through the exciting journey of planning your wedding. Today, we're going to talk about 7 steps to planning your wedding. These are 7 steps that I put together that I think are the big steps that you need to focus on through the wedding planning process. So 1, create a budget. After you get engaged, yay, be excited, take tons of pictures with your ring and your fiance and enjoy that moment. But once you're actually starting that wedding planning process, sit down with your fiance and figure out a budget that works for you both. It is so easy to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a wedding. I have helped plan weddings from $3,000 all the way to $80,000. There's a large range. They were all beautiful, and it really just depends on what you want and what you can afford. I would never, ever advise someone to go into debt to plan a wedding. Pinterest makes it so easy to compare and judge and want what everybody else wants, but you need to just step back. You don't want to start your marriage off with debt, especially debt that you created together from day one. So just take a deep breath. Look at your finances, even though this may not be the funnest part, and create a budget that is realistic and works for you. You may want to talk to your parents and family members and see. Some families like to all pitch in. Some expect just the bride and groom. It just depends on how it's going to work with you guys. So sit down, plan a budget, be realistic, and stick to that budget. Do not let anything get in the way. Do not go over. Stick to your budget. That's 1. 2 is start a guest list. So it doesn't have to be your official final guest list. But go ahead and write down, have your fiance write down their list, and you write down a list and figure out who you want to invite to your wedding. This one is important, and this is why. You need to have an estimated guest count for almost everything you're going to do this point on. You need to know all your vendors are going to ask what your estimated guest count is, because 1, you need to know how many mouths you're going to feed for your dinner or for the cake, or how many tables you're going to need with how many guests. You're going to need to know with your linens and decor and everything that's going to match with your guest count. So having an idea of your guest count is super important. And also, so you can move on to your venue. It's hard to pick a venue if you don't know if you're going to invite 10 people or 500 people. Picking a venue will really depend on your guest count, so that you don't want to get a massive venue and only have a few people there and just look like the venue is swallowing you. And you also don't want to have so many people that you can't fit, or you're breaking fire code, or that the venue is going to tell you, no, you can't come in. Your guests can't come because they've already reached their limit. So make sure that you get an estimated guest count, so you have some wiggle room, so when you go start looking at venues, you see what their guest count max is, so that it helps you in that wedding planning process. So 1, create a budget. 2, start a guest list. And then 3, you can either select a date, like if there's a specific date that's special to you. Maybe it's your 2-year anniversary, or your parents got married on that date and it's important to you. Or if you don't have a specific date that's really important, picking a season so you have an idea. Do you want to get married in the summer or the fall or the winter? And having an idea of when you want to get married. This is really important when you go look at a venue, because say you go to a venue tour and you fall in love with the venue and they only have a few dates left in the year. You need to have an idea of what you want. You need to have an idea of, okay, is your date more important than your venue? You go to a venue, you like them, you want to book them, but they don't have that specific date that is really, really important to you. Are you going to move on and go to another venue? Or are you flexible and you really only care about the season you want to get married in, and then it doesn't matter what the exact date is? Keep in mind that Saturdays are typically the most expensive day to get married, and then Fridays and Sundays are next, so a little less expensive than a Saturday. And then Monday through Thursday is going to typically be a much easier financial day to get married. They're less expensive. So having that budget, then creating guest lists, and then selecting either a date or season that you want to get married. And then next, you finally pick a wedding venue. So you can look online at different, this is what I would suggest. Go online first and look at pictures and different venues in your area. we live in Houston. There are tons and tons of venues in Houston. So having an idea and knowing if you want like an all white venue or like a rustic, like barn type venue or industrial, have an idea, Google it, look it up, look at your options, and then set up a few appointments to go tour. And then something that I advise all my clients to do if they book, prior to having their venue is to have a checklist of things that are important to you. These are some things that you don't typically think of because, you've never been married before and you're not thinking of it. One, does your venue have a bridal suite? Because not all of them do. Is it important to you to get dressed and all your bridesmaids and your mom to get dressed together in a room prior to the ceremony? If so, find out if they have a bridal suite and find out if it's big or small. Go look at it. And when you go to tour these different venues, like make little notes in each category so that you can later go back and figure out what you liked. Another thing to look at is, does it have a built-in bar? If you're going to have alcohol, does it already have a built-in bar that you don't have to bring one in or have just a regular table for a bar? Do they have a kitchen that is big enough for your caterer to use to hold all your food? Do they have warmers that are going to keep the food warm? Is cooking allowed on the property? These are just some questions to ask. And of course, if they have a ceremony location on site or not. It's always great if you have an indoor and outdoor ceremony option in case of rain. But depending on what you're wanting, it may not be important. So just make a list of things that are really important to you in a wedding venue, and then go tour a few and then make a decision then. Next, I want to say this is number 1, but I think it fits good here. Number 5 is hire a wedding planner. It's hard to hire any vendors in general without having a date. So that's why I listed these other ones. With a wedding planner, especially if you're wanting a full service wedding planner, most of them can be flexible and work with you as far as not having a date. But I went ahead and put it after your venue just to kind of make it easier. If you can find it in your budget to hire a wedding planner, please do, because it's going to make the wedding planning process a million times easier for you. So hire a wedding planner and take their advice, let them guide you. And lots of times a wedding planner, or at least a good wedding planner, is going to help you save a lot of money because they have connections and work with a lot of vendors. So for example, for me and my company, there are vendors I've worked with that we work so well together. We're just a team and we know each other so well and we know how each other works that we like to give each other discounts to their clients for working together just because we want to work together. We know that our events will be a huge success and look really good for our clients if we all work together. So we try to give those incentives, and I recommend these vendors because I know they're going to do a good job and represent me well. I never ever recommend a vendor, 1, that I haven't worked with, and 2, that I don't absolutely love. So hire a wedding planner that is the same, that will give you really good advice and help you save money with their vendors and will help direct you and guide you to the next steps of your planning process. And that will take a huge load off so that you can really enjoy it, because remember, you're engaged, and the engaged process and time is just as special as the actual wedding day. And you want to just soak it up and enjoy it and go on extra dates and just really live in the moment and the excitement of being engaged. And then next, number 6, pick your top 3 vendors that are most important to you and your fiance. I like to tell my clients for each to pick one, and then together to come together and pick on one that they really agree on. So that makes 3. These are the vendors that are really, really important to you. You want to make sure you have really good quality vendors, like top pick, first pick with these vendors. And then all the other vendors that don't fall, that top 3, it's not that they're not important to you, but they're not priority. You want to make sure you have these 3 vendors. So figure that out with your fiance and then go ahead and book them. It's never too soon to book your vendors, but you can wait too long. A lot of vendors book about a year out. So the longer you wait, the more of a chance that your vendor will be already booked. Like example, your photographer. There's a photographer that you've been watching on Instagram that you really, really love, but you waited too long and then you reach out to them and they're already booked. But if you would have booked when you first got engaged because they were number 1 in your top 3, then you would have had a better chance of securing that vendor. And And some vendors will have multiple people on their team, and so it doesn't matter as much. But still, you want to make sure that your priority vendors get chosen first and they're on the top of your list so that you can sit back and enjoy and just know that you have the vendors that you really want for your wedding. And then number 7, the last one, is select your wedding party, your bridesmaids and groomsmen, and pick your team that are going to help you through the planning process. And at least maybe they won't help you make decisions, but they'll help pump you up and get you excited through the planning process. Because I'm going to tell you, planning a wedding is a lot of hard work, and it will most likely be stressful, but it doesn't have to be negative. It's supposed to be beautiful, it's supposed to be exciting, and it's supposed to be fun. And having a good team to back you up and be excited for you is going to make it even more exciting and fun. So just remember these 7 steps when you're planning your wedding, and remember to really just enjoy the process. If for some people, that this order may not be exactly the same, and that's okay, but just keep these things in mind. So 1, create a budget with your fiance and stick to that budget. Do not go in debt over your wedding. And then 2, start a guest list. Know about how many people you want to invite to your wedding, so you know how much money you're going to spend in each category, how much your vendors need to know about who's coming so that they know what they need to provide. 3, select a wedding date or season, whichever is more important to you that you're wanting and aiming for getting married. And then 4, select a wedding venue. Once you have that dream venue selected, then you're able to go ahead and hire a wedding planner, or if you want a wedding planner to help you with the venue, that's okay. But you can hire a wedding planner and all your other vendors after that, because now you have a date and you have a place secured. So 5, hire a wedding planner. 6, select your top 3 wedding vendors. And then 7, select your wedding party. And then 8, I'm just going to throw in a bonus. Enjoy the process. Thank you for watching New to This. I am your host, Brandy, and I'm so excited to see you again next time.